And what a better way to start than a very important panel session on artificial intelligence and data for the NBFCs, and let's change the game of finance. Very important panel session, something we haven't heard since either yesterday or so far the sessions which we had today. So, without taking further time of yours, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the honorable panel members who are going to grace the stage and set the discussion for the next 50 minutes for this very important panel discussion session on AI and data in NBFCs. Joining us first, and please help me welcome with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I know it is post-lunch, so please encourage the panel members as well with your energy. Joining us first, and help me welcome with a big round of applause, Dr. 𝐷𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐵, co-founder and CEO of Agrim Housing Finance. A big round of applause to Dr. 𝐷𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐵. Welcome to the stage, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next in the panel, we have Mr. Amit Toshniwal, Head of IT and Project Management and RPA from L&T Finance. A big round of applause to Amitji. Welcome to the stage, sir. Joining next, we have Mr. Sandeep Bhosle, Chief Digital Officer, Business Development from JM Financial Asset Management. Big round of applause to Sandeepji. Welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. Joining next in the panel, we have Mr. Mridul Sharma, Group Chief Operating Officer from Arka Fincap. A big round of applause to Mridulji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. And now I would like to call on the honorable moderator for this panel, Mr. 𝐾𝐚𝐭'𝐬, Senior Director for Products from Jocata. Big round of applause to 𝐾𝐚𝐭'𝐬. Welcome to the panel, sir. And now, let us introduce and welcome on stage our next panel member, Mr. Sandeep Agarwal, Head of Credit, Piramal Capital Housing Finance. A big round of applause to Sandeepji. Welcome to the panel, sir. So, 𝐾𝐚𝐭'𝐬, all over to you. Looking forward to a great session. Task at hand, because post-lunch, I know, but I'm sure with such an eminent panel members and with you here at the captain of the ship is going to be a fantastic discussion. So, all the best.
Hello. So, good afternoon, everyone. Last rows, am I audible to the last row? Thank you very much. So today, very interesting topic. We are going to discuss about AI and data, how it is going to change the face of NBFC in the future, right? In the last 1 decade, we have been discussing about digital transformation, etc. Every NBFCs and financial institution, there is no one who can claim that they are not digitally transformed. Everybody is digitally transformed in some stage or form, in some level of maturity that is there. The next 5-6 years, we believe that AI, data, analytics, it's going to start shaping form in which we think, we strategize, how do we invest, how do we focus, how do we give the customer service, etc. Based on that, this is going to be the underlying platform, the way we are going to think, right? Of course, AI is not here to replace human involvement. It's going to be there, both human as well as AI as a hybrid form. It is going to take shape and form over a period of next years. So in this context, we have very eminent panel members here. So I would request each one of you to briefly introduce about yourself and then say what is that in your organization that you are taking as a step towards this AI, ML, those kind of initiatives. Thank you.
Hi, Amit Toshniwal here. I work with L&T Finance. So when it comes to data, we believe data is the new oil, and implementing of artificial intelligence and machine learning is the future, because using the data requires it to be curated, refined. So AI, ML needs the refinery, and that is what we believe in.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Malcolm. I'm the co-founder of Agrim Housing Finance. So I'll just tell you a couple of use cases that we use AI. ML, of course, is a different ballgame. We use AI for automating our full digital SEO. And in 1 month, we moved from around 0.7 million impressions to around 8 million impressions. So we jumped by 10 times by automating it, and it was, I think, 1/10 of the cost. So that is one use case. The second use case is we work with a lot of economically weak customers who exhibit certain behavioral traits that have to be captured and assessed for credit evaluation, because at the end of the day we are still giving a home loan. So we use a video algorithm where we call the customer through a video link, record it, run it through our video filters and analyzers, where we analyze certain things like micro expressions, people movements and everything, and the algorithm gives an assessment whether the customer is good, confident for credit or not. We have run it now since almost 5,000 such recordings. So these are the two use cases I thought was we could.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sandeep Bhosle. I'm the Chief Digital Officer for Business Development at GM Mutual Fund, GM Financial Asset Management Company. I come more from a customer experience. That's the core. And I have seen over a period of years in the experience the addiction towards data. As my friend said, data is the new oil. And that has been increasing, and you really do not know what limit it's. AI and everything at the industry level, I think we are just scratching the surface right now. In the years it will unfold at how much we are going to do in a regulatory framework and in a compliance framework on that.
Good afternoon, friends. Welcome after the lunch, and we hope we don't bore you. My name is Mridul. I head operations and technology as Group CEO for our first financial services foray of Kirloskar Group. It's called Arka Fincap. We are a 5-year-old organization. We are happy to have crossed around 5,000 crores of balance sheet. Again, very good on the NPA. So I was speaking to one of the exhibitors and said we still don't have a use case for collections because we are still in 30-40 cases a month. Coming to the topic of AI and data, yes, I've spent now 30 years in financial services, not just in NBFCs, banks. There is a lot of data, and the AI, use case that I have to solve is to empower our front-end people on branches. For the reason that financial services generates a lot of policy, procedures, circulars, and we pump it to the front. It's not possible for them to digest everything and give the right answers to customers. As a result, whenever customers actually meet with human beings rather than machine on the front, they have a very, very divergent experience depending on the person they've spoken to, and 80% answers are incorrect. So that is where we try to kind of give a chatbot kind of interface to our front line, wherein they can ask a simple English question on our product policy processes, and they will get a simple English answer of what to do step by step with the references to which policy, procedure, circular it actually refers to. And it was very easy to do. It didn't take a lot of rocket science to actually do that. So happy to do that, and we'll again look at simple use cases which actually make a difference in everyday life of employees and customers. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandeep Agarwal. I represent Piramal Capital. For us, we are a diversified NBFC into wholesale and retail lending, and as my esteemed fellow members, panel members have been saying, there are multiple use cases for AI ML in our business as an NBFC. The way we are looking at it, to just share a perspective, is we have sort of divided our business into pre-disbursements and post-disbursements. And in pre-disbursement phase or cycle, where we are looking and analyzing, evaluating our customers, we have just started scratching the surface, just started introducing predictive analysis for our clients using AI models. So it's a combination of both in-house technologies, using, of course, data that we have harnessed, that we had collected over a period of time, plus some vendor APIs that we have plugged in with our LOS and LMS systems. So that's one part of the pre-disbursement AI ML use cases. The other part is post-disbursement, where on an asset management basis or collections efficiency, we understanding how the entire loan cycle has moved. Those analytics and data harnessing is something that is being done by us. So. And again, very early days. The way we perceive, the way we look at it, financial services firms, BFSI firms are moving more and more towards integrating with digital firms. So no more is the digital function or the IT function just one vertical. In fact, it straddles across most of our functions now. It's partnering with our credit teams. It's partnering with our credit monitoring teams, with asset management teams, with collections teams, with originations teams, and most recently, in fact, HR team. This is something I wanted to share. Just recently, our HR rolled out something was, called as a Chief Listening Officer, which is AI based system that listens to what people are saying. So it maintains both the confidentiality of the individual as well as it picks up keywords that can feed into the HR databases engines for how the employees are feeling. So enough and more use cases for AIML in BFSI. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So both Sandeep Bhosle and Sandeep Agarwal, both of you said that we have just started scratching the surface. So my next question is to Sandeep Bhosle you are from investment domain and focus on customer service. What do you think is the next best thing that we need to do from using AI and ML on the customer experience per se, and how is that going to attract and retain the customer?
Over the period of years, you have seen gradually means if you go 15, 20 years back, you have gradually seen that, especially all the finance companies and all, they have picked the customer from the branch and from a paper form to a digital platform. They have done it. It's a phenomenal job which has been done. But when a lot of data and what digital comes in, you reduce human beings to mere numbers. That's one that output of it. And that's not a deliberate effort. It's a byproduct of a digital transformation. It will be always there. But while bringing the customer from a branch or from a paper form to a digital platform, as an industry, we got the process perfect. We got it very right. Somewhere we become an emotionally void. Anyway, again, it was not a deliberate effort. It's a byproduct of a digital transformation. So as an organization, as an industry, they start looking at customers as numbers. 1, 2. So this is one concern. So and every technology or inventions will have its phases. Now this is the first phase where we have landed. Interestingly, now we will see basically how through all this technology we will get emotional quotient problem. And while doing all these things, first of all, the industry lost a bit of emotional quotient with the customer. Secondly, over a period of years, the consumer's ability to distinguish between two financial services is also weakened. Now, that's not his problem that he's not educated. He's very well educated, basically. Because over the period, if you have seen, the products are becoming more democratized. They're getting more democratized. It's very difficult to define one bank account and another bank account from a customer's point of view. So the point that he sees is basically the service part. So customers do not want a bank, basically they want a banking service, end of the day. So when you take all these 3 points, this is the place where this year or in the coming years, basically we'll see the technology will be going more narrow. AI, the data that what we have, that will be more utilized to have and give a better experience to the customer and fulfill his financial aspirations. That is the next level that where all this technology will be going into. We are at that level where the most of the data, everything is available. In fact, your financial institutions will be knowing more better than you what you're doing. It's true. They know everything, where you stand for, which location you are, what is an average capita of that location, everything is at hand. And the more these digital transactions go on, the consumers leave a lot of digital footprint, which is captured. is captured. So the AI, ML, or the data analytics that will coming, all this will be focused now on getting the customer experience smooth. Especially for the lending companies reaching into remote areas where the scores and all those things are not also available. So this will be a differentiating factor in the coming years while using technology. The first part of the technology was to get the data right, to get the segmentations right, to identify, to narrow down to which customers. Now they are narrowed it down, then we will know how we are making it. And this is going to be a very tough job because competition itself will weaken the consumer's ability to differentiate between two products. The silver linings between two products is always diminishing. And that is the one thing that will drive this AI, ML, analytics, all technology towards getting the customer's experience more.
Thank you very much. You touched upon right points on the customer experience, emotions, and empathy, rightly. And I believe these emotions that the individuals, when they interact with another human being, the trust factor creates, right? Both the banking industry, financial industry is all about the trust that you create with the customer so that they become loyal and you harvest more business out of them, right? Now, introduction. So this question goes to Mridul because one of the initiatives that he took is having a chatbot for internal facing users on the new products, guidelines, etc. All those come in. But at the same time, there are a lot of chatbots that is all available in every bank's, NBFC's website, giving customer service to them, right? But at the end of the day, do we really differentiate between the segment of customers? Young age group, middle age group, senior citizen, accordingly differentiate what service to be given to them, right? So what is your view on that? How should we approach so that this empathy is there and then customer trust is being there? At the same time, technology is also invested.
So see, if we take a step back on this, if we look at user interface of our digital applications that we have done in the past, it was a simple single UI, right? Everybody who downloads the app or on the web page gets the same UI. And we can make a case saying that can the UI be differentiated? Can it be simpler for people who don't need all and they get confused? And can it be much more engrossed or complex for people who can actually fathom that? So I think the first answer we all are aware of is that we have not seen that differentiation on the user interface of our applications or web pages. Now when we come to chatbots, I would say this is more of when we say that say conversation is the new UI.
Yeah.
So rather than having the UI of web pages and screen apps, we are saying conversationally, let's ask the question, you ask the question, give the answer, and we'll move the workflow forward. So it's a, I would say, good thought to say that if we have not done on the apps and web pages, can this be done? I don't think anybody's done that, right? So it's the same flow. So you'll ask X, Y, Z, what is your what do you require, and then basically you serve that. Only good part is that you can directly get to the point in a conversational chat.
Sure.
Right. So if I want to just check my balance, I can just ask that and I'll get it straight. I don't have to search saying click this, then click this and click that, and then you get to that. So that can be a simpler way. At the same time, till now, most of the chatbots were actually based on pre-fed FAQs and a very, very set flow, which means the moment you divert from that, you will say, no, sorry, I can't help you on this one, right? And I do feel now with generative AI, the more we can get the language, the speech to text or language to context decipher, then the right APIs can be called. So you can then ask that thing in any possible way where I can ask that question, and I will be able to get the context and still provide the answer. So that's, I think, so I would say now it's like you've got a quite good ingredient. It is up to the people now what dishes they cook with that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's I think what I have.
Excellent. So now the point that you said that language, voice, and other stuff, right? Question to Malcolm. You are a doctorate in micro lending. So my question to you, Malcolm, is that now Bhashini is there, which is given 20 different languages. So we can go to any corner of India, Bharat, and then figure out the services, right? So, what, according to you, should be the way forward for reaching out to those people where the credit is underserved or financial services is underserved? How can AI technologies can help them to reach the services to them? Financial inclusion is expanded. Those are the questions that, I mean, we need some of the thoughts on those lines.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, 𝐾𝐚𝐭𝐬. Actually, very insightful question. But I'll just set the ground just before we get in the question. I think first we have to get understanding of everyone. I think how many in the room understand what's the difference between AI and ML? Anyone? I'm just wondering. Okay, see one hand, two hands, three.
Come on, guys, be sportive.
Yeah, fine. Okay, because I think I've been seeing a lot of seminars on AI and ML since morning. Okay, so cardinal difference, and just for people, just with this, machine learning is using data which is working with statistical models which have evolved over a period of time, right from logistic to linear to gradient boosting and CNN, ANN type of type of networks. Artificial intelligence is trying to mimic the human interface of vision, communication, and interaction. So there's a world of a difference between both of them. ML is a subset of AI. Now, when we are talking about AI and ML for the usage for financial inclusion, machine learning is already there. It's evolved like since the last 20-30 years. Your scorecards are one, which are machine learning. Your decision trees, various types of things which are used in credit scoring, in business scoring, all those things are part of your. So when a customer comes on board, like for example in Agrim, when he comes on board, the first thing that we run is we read his KYC, Aadhaar, PAN, pull out the bureau, take the bureau variables, run it through credit scoring, run it through various profile scorings. Those are all part of machine learning. The AI interaction comes where you actually have to visually communicate with the customer or converse with the customer or interact with the customer in a manner that the customer has understood you. So right now there is no real AI that can do it. I mean, there are some visions of it. Like for example, you have autonomous robots which are there in various countries. You have Uber. I mean, you have various cars which are driverless cars, and all those manage some of the vision parts. Some part of the interaction or communication, ChatGPT type of thing manages. But there is no real AI in the world today. But it would come to a stage that AI would actually evolve and actually take over some of the functions that you and I are doing. The crux of the matter is today there is adequate technology to interact with customers for financial inclusion because there is a lot of data which is available at the back end. So I'll give you a couple of data points. The first is, I think, and many of us in this room are also account aggregator integrated. Means you get data from banking, insurance, PF, mutual funds, your trading, everything is available, your PF, all that data is available on the click of this with your mobile number, as long as you have set your mobile number in all these portals. It is live today, it's working. That data gives you formal data about customers. So this solves some part of the semi-formal structure. The informal structure comes by certain visual tools that you need to interact with the customer, because at the end of the day, and everyone knows this in finance, the decision which is made whether you're a great customer or an informal customer is there is a credit personal discussion. It is called credit PD. Whether it's your corporate, retail, microfinance, or someone is always speaking to the customer. Now the interface which we developed and which we have tried to evolve over a period of time is there is a person who's speaking to the customer, recording it, running it through certain models, and the model is giving an output which says whether the customer is good for credit or not. That is the first stage of evolution. The next stage of evolution is you don't have someone speaking to the customer. The machine communicates in the language which is available using Bhashini or whichever, which they can communicate and get the interaction output, both the visual, retinal, verbal cues, and there is enough sentiment analysis available to tell you whether the customer is good, confident, or great for credit, or is a question mark. So it will filter you what is good, what is not so good. There will still be a gray area which you will need to have an human interaction. And the last stage is that where you engage the customer, where you have to actually have some visualization of the customer's surroundings, the customer's property, the customer's neighborhood, standard of living. All those tools are available if as long as the customer is available at the GPS location, which is available as per his KYC, and it takes you a visual view of that area. You can pull out all the data required to make an assessment and map it with what you think is an ideal situation to make an assessment. So we are in the first stage of getting AI ML to work, and I think in the next 3 years a lot of the discussions will come over here is whether some of this is actually replacing us or is better than us or not. But I think that is 3 years hence. The question now is how do we have the technology to use it? And I think the bigger question, and I would just throw this question up in the air, please do not use AI tools which are available because you think they are right for you. The ChatGPT is not the right tool for you to use for interacting with the customer because it's an Americanized version of the data for Indian customers for your segment, and it doesn't make a specialization for your customer segment. So you have to use very specialized AI tools, typically something which has a encoder decoder, and something which has localized thing like maybe a Gemini or something which takes only your data and curates it for your customer segment with your information and your expertise. That's when differentiation happens. Okay, the differentiation will not happen if everyone goes on the net and uses the generic tools. Okay, then there is no difference between you and me, and our customer segments may be different, but we will be using the same paintbrush. This is my advice. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All the technical jargons that you put in and the way, I think Amit is someone who does it day in and day out as part of his IT project management, Amit. So what do you take up from Malcolm's point of view? And then how do you put this into your IT strategy? How do you prioritize what needs to be done? What does business wants to give, right? So we also talked about data management policy and data engineering policy, etc. Right? So what should NBFC think about when they want to think on AI strategy and stuff? What are all the fundamental prerequisites they should think so that guys like you will have some easier job to roll it out and make fruitful outcome out of?
Thank you. Just to build upon what my friend Dr. Malcolm said, first of all, it's not going to be Terminator Judgment Day that artificial intelligence is going to replace us. No, that's not what is going to happen. Because ultimately, we build the technology, we build the intelligence into it. And second is what your question says. When it comes to IT strategy should not be built on fear of missing out. FOMO. XYZ organization has implemented GPT, why am I not? ABC technology is being used by this competitor, why am I not? The first fundamental problem solving statement should be, what do my customers need, not what do they want. The customers need simplicity. The customers need their pain to be solved, and then the business gain should be looked at. So it should be looked from a very simplify your life perspective, and then we get into, oh, this is a very fancy technology, I have an interface. Yes, artificial intelligence is good, customer gets better service. It's like you pick up a phone and instead of an IVR you have a support guy who helps you out. You get a better comfort factor, more empathy. That is absolutely good, but that is a gradual evolution over a time. Coming to the second part of your question is, how do we build it? We first of all empathize it. We put it into a perspective. I need artificial intelligence, great. I need it for a particular objective. Define that objective. Define the roadmap for that objective. Now, in order to do an achievement of that objective, the first would be data engineering. So you understand what data you need. According to Gartner, 80% of the data in NBFC and BFSI industry is unstructured. And even if you change 10% of it, it yields to more than 24% of gross margin change. Now, these are industry stats, not my stats. The first thing that if we say is 80% of the data is unstructured, simplifying it, categorizing it, curating it to be usable. Then you build machine learning models on top of it. Not necessarily, not all places you can use machine learning models. Some place you will have to put in your own intelligence to build the LLMs. But then ultimately it is like, I have to build a building. I need good quality material. Data is that material. And data needs refinement. I'll go a little bit ground reality. I come from a small town. I've seen farm. So you see the fields, you see the crop growing, you see the corn of the crop. You cannot consume it as is. It needs to be taken, harvested, cleansed, and then it comes into the grain form. Data is exactly the same thing. You need it to be curated, cleansed, categorized, and then processed. Then okay, that flour is used for your cooking, it is used for processing, it is packaged, and then it's sold. Data is exactly the same. You build it using automation so that the structure remains its integral and it can be used everywhere. So long-term vision, simplicity, and most of all curated data. Data engineering are the three areas which I believe that most NBFCs or BFSIs can focus on when they are looking at a long-term roadmap of artificial intelligence or machine learning.
Yeah, you brought a very interesting point of fear of missing out, that the moment any new technology comes in, everybody want to jump in. I remember I get calls on blockchain. Do you have any product on blockchain? That was the question. I mean, what is your problem to solve? That's the key objective that you were saying, that we need to identify what is a problem that we need to solve before even start thinking on the strategy and investment. The question to Sandeep Agarwal, right? Everybody says that, I mean, bringing in AI will build in efficiency, right? But efficiency is a short-term objective because it's a gradually growing. Once you reach a point, one more efficiency tool will come, one more efficiency tool will come, right? And coupling up with this fear of missing out, the moment that is there, every department in NBFC, be it marketing, be it customer support, be it HR, be it credit decisioning, everybody want to take a stab at this new baby called AI. So how do you prioritize this in the organization? What is this, I mean, consolidated strategy that you will bring in when you want to invest in new technologies like this?
Thank you, Karthik. So let me step back, and I think you made an interesting point here. Let me step back to say, how was this evolution? Let's say in our example, we started off with a standardized LOS systems, loan originations. We had a independent loan management systems. We brought on board certain APIs for various aspects, and that's been the more traditional approach for managing various aspects of the journey of a loan, from origination to disbursements to exit, right? As the technology has evolved, so has the ask from various functions in our teams, and the reason for that is obviously the one part is efficiency that they would like to do. The other part is as I think Sandeep ji identified, the whole customer experience for internal teams. The next team where the loan is going to flow is also a customer. So how can I be that much more efficient? How can I be that much more receptive, responsive to my customer in terms of giving him adequate data, the right data at the right time? And obviously we are in a marketplace where no two NBFCs can really differentiate in their product. The biggest differentiation that you create is in terms of bringing joy to your customer, in bringing efficiency to your own operations, and hence that much more quickness being there in front of the customer. So that's where the need for implementing more and more newer technology models has come in. As far as allocation goes, what we have in our specific case is each of the teams, individuals teams have their own budgets where they decide upon how much of technology spend would they like to undertake. This in turn dovetails into an overall larger plan that the company is undertaking. Eventually, I think yes, you are correct. There are certain technologies that will keep on evolving, but for the moment, I think like most other BFSI firms, we as a firm are still in a very early stage. Would like to invest a lot more. Some of the more front leaders in the teams have started understanding technology, but far from where the entire firm, especially right down to my last person on the street, who's the person, my retail person who's interacting with the customer, for them to adopt and adapt to these technologies, it's going to take time. So that aspect is something that we really focus on right now.
I want to add one aspect. What is that? See, now he touched upon the point of the client experience. He also talked about that. And when we come to using automation, any kind of automation, either it's RBA or using AI here, I would say the scenario which has changed for the financial services world is that the customer is not coming to us. Right, we are not sitting in our branches. What he was also saying, where the customer walks in, कि मेरे को loan चाहिए. That's not the case, right? Customer is in their own life, on their own journey, right? Customer is standing in a shop and saying, I'm buying TV, right? They didn't come to take a loan. They're there to buy a TV. You have to step in at that stage, right? A parent has gone to the school portal to pay fee, right? Now there, if you're saying, okay, you can pay it in installments, then it has to be as simple as click of a radio button, right? What you sometimes do on e-com portals, that you don't want to pay it in one go, you have a radio button and everything will be taken care in the background. Now, the whole processing has to happen within the time period that the customer has in mind. That means that we have to fit into the life of the customer. And all your technology, all your processes and everything has to perform within that time frame. Otherwise, it's like cart abandonment, right? So that's, I think, one pertinent focus where you say you have to use it. Second element which I always try to do is that, see, as human beings, we can add value only in certain things. Many times we actually create dissonance. So, simple example, in most organization, all of us always have IDs and passwords, right? And many times in organization, what happens, password has expired or password has got logged out, right? Now let's say that we have set up process saying that you can send an email or you can call this person, right, and your password will be reset. Now it may so happen that you have sent the email and there is no response for 3 hours, and then you are maybe trying to solve a customer problem and you can't log into your systems, right? Or it has happened at night or you're traveling overseas. Now will it be better that this process is automated? That if a SMS or a WhatsApp message goes from your registered mobile number, the password is reset automatically and it comes back to you on the channel. Because maybe the human being is unwell, he's gone to have a cup of tea. Machine is better doing this job, right? Similarly, if finally we have done the whole loan processing and the disbursement has to happen, right? Now somebody has to take down a file, upload it into other system, then press few buttons, and that guy will take it after 3 hours. We are then adding time to the customer journey. Can this be robotized? So I think the key point is that whether it is internal customers or it is external customers, finally we have to fit into the journey that they are trying to keep and the experience that they are trying to keep. And in doing that, if the machine can do that job better, let the machine do, because beyond a point, as human beings, we peak out. The same example I took on the first example, it is not possible for a front-end operations or a service resource in a branch to, even the CEO will not know what all processes have gone out as of yesterday. Correct. So it is not possible for them. Right? Even, on the technology side, I would say that Many times now we have made technology, all applications, and they have to work, right? Now, if you put out a customer app, the customer app has to work all the time. If the customer app is not working, the whole organization goes up and down. Now, as technologists, many times we are not able to diagnose. If you say, I've got only 10 minutes, you will not be able to diagnose what is actually happening. Maybe that is where AI can step in, which it can actually read all those logs in that much time and actually see where the problem is, tell you now go there and do it. So I think these are the focus areas, I would say, where we should use this technology better, and where it then helps the human being do the job better.
True.
Right?
Very true. So, summarily, what you are saying is think about customer-centric activity in whatever you are doing. That brings the question to me to Sandeep Bhosle that you are expert in this customer experience, marketing, etc. So, how do you hyper-personalize with this data and constantly improve upon this hyper-personalization as a service to the customers? And at the same time, hyper-personalization needs data collection, storage, etc. What are all the regulatory restrictions that we have on the data that we collect? How do we use it? How to strike a balance between this hyper personalization as well as data usage, etc., from NBFC angle? What should everybody be aware of it?
Well, as I said, when the customer or the consumer transacts or interacts, he is leaving a lot of digital footprint. But when he's leaving a digital footprint, it doesn't mean that he's telling that use my data and call me back or send me something. He's completely unaware of it. Now, at the same time, the consumer also has his own needs also. The one thing that has become over a period of times, in fact, and that's because of the technology itself only, or the transformations that we have seen, we have decreased the patience of the consumer a lot. Today, we have decreased it a lot. Every time he sets a new benchmark for it. Ask a kid today and tell him to go to a bank and stand in a row for 10 minutes and deposit a check. It's not possible for him. It's alien for him. So that's how it has graduated company. For him, it is the circle that is revolving on your website. So that patience level that the consumer has completely. Now, at that point, as a consumer, I may expect that I come back with all the n number of things and identify my problem and give him a solution at that point of time itself. Some consumers may say that you don't identify my problems, you don't use my data, it's my citizen data, you should not touch it. So there's a lining between both the things which organizations will have. One. As technology goes in ahead, as AI goes in ahead, there will be n number of regulations that will be coming in to how do we use this data with consumers. Till what level we can go into. So as an organization, we would really like to pinpoint a problem and pivot to that problem and get it solved. And we have all the data at the back end. We know the behavior, we can track the behavior, and there are solutions and there are technologies, everything is there which can pivot to that. But till what extent we can use it, that's still a gray area completely. It's still a gray area. Somewhere we take it granted that this data is useful and let's go and give it to the customer, the best of the service. But does he know that we are using it? It's a different thing. So it depends on the consumer itself, and he is not going to decide for it. It's the industry who has to decide whether this is the right thing to do or this is not the right thing. So the consents have to be in place. A lot of education has to be done. And today even the customer himself is getting educated. He knows that my data is getting captured everywhere and I will get this service and everything. So he knows that till a certain point, he knows that these are things that I will receive and the organization is able to solve my problem. And number of times you are on customer calls also. The customer himself starts giving the solutions. आपके पास तो डेटा ये होगा ना, आप वहीं से निकाल लो. And number of times you must have heard them. When just go and audit your customer service calls and you will see the customer himself is speaking. या तो आपके पास होगा ना, वहाँ से निकाल लो, आप यहाँ से निकाल. So he knows and he understands these things. All organizations will not put these equations into place. End of the day, technology comes at its own cost. It has its own peril. It will depend upon what the industry, where he wants to put the customer. He wants to put the customer at the center stage and work around all those things. That's a different approach. If there's an organization who wants to do a P&L first and then service the customer, it will have a different approach. there's an organization who is building from right from here, it will have a different approach. The finance industry itself take two years. We get n number of calls from discussions we have with fintech companies. They come up with super phenomenal solutions. They come up with. But when you look from an industry perspective, they have a legacy to maintain. There is a lot of reputation, legacy, compliance, and all those things, which may sound very bureaucratic, but there's a necessity. On the opposite side, there is a fintech company, small company, which has speed. They have the solutions, they have that industry knowledge. So when we look ahead at how do we bring the customer centricity, the life to the customer's life in the customer service by marrying both your legacy and your speed, which is available in fintechs today, but as an organization, we may have legacy.
Right. So that brings to my question to Sandeep Agarwal, where there are a lot of legacy data that we have. Right? For any analytics to make sense, clean data, structured data is one of the major fundamental ingrains that we need to have. Right. So how do you constantly improve the quality of the data that you have so that it can be further invested, harvested, and then make use of things? So what is that NBFCs must do regarding that?
I think a fantastic question, and you hit the nail on its head. That by itself is the bare challenge, and I think as Amit ji was saying, my fellow panelist, the data that we use for any kind of analytics needs to be constantly scrubbed, constantly cleaned, constantly standardized for it to be analyzed. That's the bare basic, and it's inevitable. Sitting today, we don't know what all new technologies, what all new use cases might emerge. So it's literally almost difficult for me to predict how many data points or what kind of data points I should be capturing in my systems. But at the same time, it's an ongoing job. And I can tell you, we, for example, have taken it very seriously. So more than the analytics part, it is the data harvesting and the data cleaning up that we are doing in a very, very detailed fashion, where constantly for the loans that we have given out, for the loans that we are continuing to give out, we are capturing more and more data points. We don't know what their use cases might be as of today, but the hope is at least we'll have cleaned and scrubbed data at some point in time. Some of it is already going into my data engines, my credit evaluation engines, my decision making engines. The balance, hopefully there will be more use cases and it will get utilized. So no option but to just keep cleaning, scrubbing, standardizing the data.
I wanted to ask a couple of more questions, but the time is running out, so I will give the option for the audience to ask any questions to the panel member.
First of all, I think the panel deserves a big round of applause. So, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for this wonderful panel here. And I think very nicely summed up and great moderation by 𝐾𝐚𝐭'𝐬 here. So, yeah, of course, I mean, we can, in the interest of the time, take two quick questions from the floor. So, yeah, the floor is open for questions. I request the esteemed guests to kindly raise your hand. We'll pass on the mic to you. Please do introduce yourself and question to which particular panel member. And I think if it's a generic one, then 𝐾𝐚𝐭'𝐬, you can decide which particular panel member would be the ideal person. So any questions? Floor is open. Any questions from the audience? Yeah, can we have the microphone?
Hi, my name is Kashinath Katakdon from AMC Repo Clearing Limited. My question is since we are talking about data, now India has launched the Data Privacy and Data Protection Act, right? Where the PII data becomes much more critical and much more needs to be handled. So how do you handle data where you are capturing the PII information and protect that? If one particular user who is coming to your platform, he withdraws the consent for sharing the information, how do you maintain that data within your system? Second thing is today, because of the the cyber attacks and so many things, your data actually becomes because the systems are not protected. We are talking about a lot of data, right? The data becomes available because of some cyber hack, because of some ransomware. It is available on the dark web at 50 paise. So how do you ensure while on one hand we need all data to do all data analytics and AI where the patterns need to be generated, but on the flip side there is a privacy issues. So how do you manage that?
I'll take a little attempt at it. Very pertinent, very valid. Dividing it into two parts. One is the DP Act, and the second is data security. So data privacy is new. Yes, GDPR existed, but in India, data privacy is new. One of the key solutions to be using the data is a controlled data environment with multiple layers of authentication. Now, while it is a very tech statement to make that multiple layers of authentication, one of the simpler ways is build in a robotic system that extracts data with no human intervention, having multiple layers of security. That's one way. The other ways of doing it is compartmentalize data with multi-layer keys, half and half, and then access. So the Data Protection Act is yet to be completely rolled out. A lot of organizations still are rolling in that, okay, how do we address it? How do we take care of that? So as we evolve, it comes on. Two of the options that I know of, that is what I shared. Automate it and split it into compartmentalized data and integrate it when used. Coming to data security. Data security has again two angles to look at it. One, access management. Second, data protected environment. So you have a backup mechanism in case something happens, your data loss is not there. That's a backup environment for an instant switch. It's not a DR, it's a data protected environment, DPE implementation. And the second is multi-layered authentication that lets you to address the data leakage, because you have encrypted it, it purges on its own when it is leaked. So that kind of implementation is there. A lot of technology is involved in data protection, data security. Again, we will go by what the RBI guidelines says or what the government says.
Thank you. Thank you.
To add to that, just one more thing. We recently heard about 𝐷𝒨𝒃 being hacked and $250 million being lost on the 𝐷𝒨𝒃. Similarly, there was an incident in Australia where one of the retirement funds, they had 4 copies of the backup, and because of some mistake at Google, they were not able to get back all the retirements, the fund details available to the investors. So what is the level at which you need to do, because every additional layer that you bring in, there is a cost involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable panel members, I would request you to kindly be on stage while we call Ms. Sonika Vishwakarma, CEO from Solution Len Manswa. Sonika ji, thank you for coming to the stage to felicitate our honorable panel members and the moderator. We'll begin first with Dr. Malcolm from Agrim Housing Finance. Dr. Malcolm from Agrim Housing Finance. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Dr. Malcolm Nathiade from Agrim Housing Finance for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Amit Toshniwal from L&T Finance. A big round of applause to Amit ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Sandeep Bhosle from JM Financial Asset Management. A big round of applause to Sandeep ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Sandeep Agarwal from Piramal Capital Housing Finance. A big round of applause to Mr. Agarwal for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Mridul Sharma from Arka Fincap. A big round of applause to Mr. Sharma for his wonderful contribution in the panel. And now our honorable moderator, Mr. 𝐾𝐚𝐭𝐤 Srinivasan from Jocata. A big round of applause to Mr. Srinivasan for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. and also for wonderfully moderating this panel as well. Honorable panel members, would request all of you to kindly step forward for a group photograph. And Sonika, if you could also join them. And your panel on artificial intelligence data in NBFC, let's change the game of finance. And we had a great session for the last 50 minutes where they shared their valuable insights. Very, very interesting session and interactive, I would dare to say. And thank you to all the panel members again. And thank you to Mr. 𝐾𝐚𝐭 for doing the wonderful job of moderating this panel session. And thank you, Sonika, for doing the felicitation as well.